how the abuser uses the family court system to manipulate the victim.
Yes, yes.
So I've taken it a step further by including actual excerpts, actual documents in the book, so that people know that my family wasn't the only one that fell through the cracks.
Okay. Okay.
So this is really powerful. This is really important and I really want to get that information into people's hands on so many different levels. Like I said, there's a little bit in there for everyone.
Wow. So explain a little bit as to how the family court system actually has, wind up making people actually not as safe as they could be. What happens during that process where something that's supposed to be good turns out to be, go really, really bad?
Well, I can give you a few examples based on my personal experience of some of the tactics that abusers use. And when I say abusers, the abuser could be a man who goes to court and says, I'm concerned about my children's safety and well-being. My children's mother is mentally unstable. Key words that are being used in court in front of to the judge. Mentally unstable. I'm fear for their safety. That clicks with the courts. Like, okay, we got to get, Child Protective Services involved. Then you have the woman who's the abuser, the manipulator, using the family courts by saying, he hit me. He hit me in front of my children. Have the man automatically removed from the house. When when nothing happens. So you have those two extremes.
Okay.
Once you go into court and say, oh, I fear for my children's safety, it sets them off on a whole nother chain of events. In my particular situation, and I've covered this in my book, I was taken to court for visitation. I was not allowed to introduce domestic violence. I wasn't allowed to prove domestic violence in court. Although he had assaulted me, he had a history of assaulting me. Although I believe 2 months prior, he had just broken my shoulder, but the courts would not hear it. Why? Because he was in the military, and he went to court dressed in his military greens, got the favor of the court, because as soon as you step into court, the first thing you see behind the judge is the American flag.
Right, right.
It's setting the stage.
Yes,
The stage for manipulation. So by the time I came into court, I had no defense. And he used those tactics. I fear for my children's safety and well-being. Yes, Child Protective Services did get involved. I was threatened with removal of my children if I didn't appear in court. It's those tactics that are used. It's designed to financially bankrupt the victim when they have to take time off from work to go to court.
Right.
It puts the victim and the children in a state of hypervigilance. The courts were really complicit in making my children and I a prisoner of the state of New York, and gave my abuser easy access to us. So even though that happened 20 years ago, it's still going on today.
Right.
It's still going on today. I've heard of a case where a woman actually admitted on national TV that she lied about her husband abusing her, and he spent 9 months in jail behind that. It's daunting, it's overwhelming. A person can go to court, I'll just use this as an example, a woman can go to court and say, my husband's been abusing me. Depending on the situation, they may believe, depending on the judge even, they may believe her, they may not believe her. And then it becomes my word against yours type of, scenario. In my particular situation, they really threatened to take my children away from me. And I was trying to keep my children safe from my abuser. The courts did not help with that. And that is revealed in the book. Most of the names have been changed to protect the innocent and the guilty, but judges' names are revealed. I put the judges' names in my book. The judges that helped keep me and my children a prisoner of New York. The forensic evaluator that at the time, now it's a kind of sort of a law or I think it's a law right now. In some, and it's practiced in some states where if there's domestic violence in the home and the children have witnessed it, that the abuser can be charged with child endangerment.
Okay.
They consider it child abuse for a child to witness domestic violence. At that time, and maybe because I was just ahead of my time, but at that time, the law guardian rather told me. I said, "Well," she says, "Did he ever abuse the children?" I said, "No, but does abusing me in front of the children count?" She said, "No." So it's miseducation,
Right,
it's
right.
bias, it's prejudice, certain prejudices, and you don't know that until you get into court. And so the book just, it was so much material that I wanted to put out there,
Right.
that I had to break it up into 3 parts.
Well, I'm glad that I'm just happy, that you did put this, pen to paper, on this and write the book, because it's rare that a person experiencing this kind of situation is able to pick up a book and learn,
This is true.
from that book, how to survive what they've just experienced and
Right.
what they've gone through. Something of this magnitude is not, like you said, there's a level of shame that is, it's deep.
Very.
It's deeper than any valley, higher than any mountain. And that level of shame, depending on the individual, can basically paralyze them. And so to have something to be able to refer to that basically says you're not alone.
Right.
And although you see it on TV, you may see it if you take advantage of a group, and some people won't,
Right.
because, they're just so fearful and not ready to speak. But, I would just say that, even if you are not ready to speak in a group,
Right.
it's really, really important to attend a group.
Right.
After experiencing something of this magnitude, it's important for the person who's been abused, and it's important for the children, if there are children at home.
Definitely.
Because that is all a part of the process of helping you to heal.
Right.
To get you to the place where you're back to some sense of normalcy.
Right.
So, I don't know how many times I keep saying to you that I'm really, really happy that you wrote the book, My Life, My Soul, Surviving, Healing, and Thriving After an Abusive Relationship. And I picked up something on your website that I wanted to talk about. And I just want to say also that I'm going to just pull that up off my little trusty technological device because I did email it to myself. We're living in this age of technology where it's just amazing. Every time I look at it, my daughter, she thinks I'm behind the times, but I'm gonna tell her how. I did something
She'd
real.
be proud of you.
Yeah, she'll be proud of me. Like I did something real cool. So I picked this up off your website and I just read it and I melted, because I really, really appreciate it. So this is how it reads: surviving domestic violence, and this is written by Ivette Attaud. Surviving domestic violence and abuse means that you have left the emotional, mental, and physical prison of your abuser and have committed yourself to moving on to an improved way of life. Powerful, powerful statement. That's what it means to be able to say, I am surviving
Right.
domestic violence.
Right.
I'm not anymore a victim of domestic violence, but I am a victorious woman, and I'm surviving
Right.
those experiences, and I am now moving on to an improved way of life.
Yes, it's very important to be committed to being a survivor. For a while, when I started to come to terms with my own experience, and one day we all have to do that.
Right.
We've left an abusive relationship. We go through years of just being, and I like to use this term, autopilot. We're just functioning. We stay away from situations, from people, places, things, even smells that